welcome to our On the Rock podcast, where Jesus Christ is our foundation and we build our life and our leadership on the rock. I'm Angelo Fleece, the founding pastor as well as the lead pastor here at Rock Church. And today with me, I have a very special guest, my bride, Kimmie.
Hello.
For how many years?
We're going to be 28 years in May.
38 years.
38 years in May.
I love it. Yes.
Wait, aren't we only in our 40s?
I love it. Usually I make the mistake. That is great.
I thought we were still in our 40s.
No,
No, we're not in our 40s. Okay, so 38 years in May.
Well, I was going to brag about you being a chaplain
Yep.
right now, police chaplain.
Yep.
For Chesterfield
Township. Yep.
We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
I'd like to hear that story and where that's taken you. Today, I thought we would just kind of tell our story.
All right.
Basically, a Rock Church story.
Okay.
And before we get there, why don't you just tell everybody how we met?
Well, we met in April of 1986.
Thank you.
And we met at church on the baseball field, actually. I pulled into the parking lot. My dad is the coach of the baseball team, so I pulled in like I always do, and I saw this person in this bumblebee yellow outfit out in the parking lot, and I never recognized this person before.
It was maize.
No, it was bumblebee yellow for sure, because if we
Okay.
would have put a black strip on there, you would have looked like a bee.
That's pretty funny.
Anyway, so that's how we met on the ball field.
All right.
Yeah. I had to call you the next day because my dad needed your address or something.
Right.
And so that's how we met.
Right. And then your father and mother kind of became spiritual mentors to me.
Yep.
And I hung out at your mom and dad's house quite a bit as they were speaking into my life spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, you get yourself a great mentor when he hooks you up with their daughter, right?
That's right.
Because that's basically what happened.
Yeah. Dad even wondered why it took you so long to ask me to marry you.
Yeah, it's true. So we were at the same church for about 8 years together.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the strengths of that church, if you
I think
could
relationships for me,
share?
you might have had a different experience, but I'd been there since I was 12. So
Right.
relationships, worship was,
Yeah.
I thought was really amazing at that church, and very missional as far
Yeah,
as
yeah,
missions trips. Those are some of my favorite times
yeah.
there. So I think those would be the strengths of the church.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same thing. Maybe add they're really strong in leadership
Yeah.
as well as discipleship.
Yeah.
Just a great church to be raised in spiritually.
hmm And I think that the people got behind like the mission of the missions trips and stuff like that.
Big time, yeah.
You never questioned if you had a meeting, you just went to it. You never,
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
You put whatever you were doing, you put that in front of everything else you did in your life.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I
Yeah,
remember going
was
on a mission
intense.
trip. You had like 10 or 12 meetings and
Yeah.
trainings before you
Yeah.
ever went to that trip.
Go to work, come home,
Yeah.
go right there, or go to work, go right there.
Yeah.
You ate when you could. You slept when you could.
And then shortly after that, we became youth pastors
Yep.
for 5 years.
Yep.
What would you say were some of the highlights of that experience?
For me, it was the kids, of course. And when I say kids, I'm talking about our college and career kids. Those were
Young adults, yeah.
the young adults were my favorite, because most of them were our leaders and that, and just building that relationship. And we still even have relationships with a lot of them to this day. As far as, I mean, we don't hang out with them, but
We saw one of them at the beach the other day.
Yeah, we did. We did on Monday.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did. That was funny.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
said his name, I'm like, "What? Who are you talking about?" And
Yeah.
then it clicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that just spending that time with them, that quality time with them,
Yeah, I
those
think
were my
so.
favorites.
The support that leadership team gave us,
Mm-hmm.
the faithfulness, the servanthood
Yeah.
was incredible. I really also enjoyed watching Jeff, the lead pastor there, function with his two sons.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I really got out of that experience was to make sure that, I don't win a city, but lose my family.
Right.
I mean, Jeff was just incredible at loving on his kids and
Mm-hmm.
both his sons. Aaron and Nathan,
Mhm.
loved the church,
Mhm.
and I wanted to make sure that our son Nick
Yeah.
loved Rock Church, and he
Right.
did. So
Yeah. I think one of the things there too I loved a lot was just the relationship. I felt very loved there by everybody, by the
yeah,
congregation, by our youth,
good
by our
community,
kids. Yeah, community. Yeah.
excellent community
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So then, towards the end of our tenure there,
Mhm.
I started to get a little bit, you know, guess you could say, restless in my spirit, and
Mhm.
God started speaking to me about some crazy things. I remember going to Royal Oak
Yeah.
and going on an outreach. We would do this periodically, kind of a
Mhm.
trendy city, Royal Oak, and we would do dramas and human videos
Right.
on the street corners and with my youth group or my youth leaders, a mission team. And I remember one specific day, I told them, let's have a little time of prayer before we actually start evangelizing, sharing our testimonies, and doing these dramas
Mhm.
on the street corners. And it was during that prayer walk where the Lord began to speak to me about starting a church.
Right.
And I knew it was the Lord because I'd never really fathomed the thought. That
Never.
was like one of the farthest things from my mind.
I
And
thought we would always be youth pastors, I think. I never thought about that there would be something different.
yeah, during that day, it was
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to be a youth pastor till Jesus calls me home. In fact, I think I told you one time that if I ever want to be a lead
You did?
pastor,
You wanted me to punch you in the face. I didn't listen.
yes, you didn't because
Should
I
I do it now? That would make
no,
a
you
good
can't do it
podcast.
now.
That would make a good podcast.
No, you ain't doing that. But I remember coming home from that night at Royal Oak in Royal Oak and telling you, I think God's called us to start a church, to plant a
Mhm.
church. Do you
Yep.
remember some of the stuff you said?
Well, I just said, all right, let's do it. That's what he wants us to do. I wasn't going to question it.
Yeah, you were pretty just excited about it and like
Yeah.
I'm extremely apprehensive, thinking there's no way
Right.
we can do this. I have no idea what it entails,
Right.
but you stepped
You
out in faith right away in your spirit.
This is true. All right, I'll just leave it at that. But I was gonna say I was very, very pregnant at the time too, so it could have been anything that made me be okay. Let's just do it. I would have been like, maybe I was just trying to get you to stop talking. I don't know. At that time, I was
Yes.
very pregnant.
You were pregnant and God had conceived a dream in our hearts to plant a
Yeah.
church. I like that spiritual
There you
analogy.
go.
That's pretty awesome. So then we didn't realize it would take 4 years
Mm-hmm.
uh, until that church would actually get off the ground. You know, I,
Three.
huh?
3.
Okay, 3 years. Um, I do remember being in Royal Oak and the Lord speaking to me about the name of the church.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to miss this part of the
Yeah.
story.
No, it's a good part of the
Yeah,
story.
and I felt like he wanted me to name the church, Rock Church, Rock Church, and I'm like questioning if it was the Lord, and
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember looking up and I was under a sign that said The Rock,
Yep.
and it was the name of a bar.
Yep.
So I took that as a confirmation.
Right.
Now God hasn't spoke to me since in that way, and I don't know if He ever will. But that time I needed that kind of a
Right.
confirmation. So, but it was tough. What about the delays that we went through
Mm-hmm.
before the church got started? You say 3 years, I say 4 years.
Well,
But
yeah.
the delays weren't fun. But
No.
what'd you get out of that stuff?
Um. I think the Lord really challenged us in dependency on Him during that time.
Yeah,
I mean, we had decided to do this. Then I gave birth to Nick. And then here we are. We left the church that we were serving at for 5 years with an infant. You had to
yeah,
go back to plumbing.
yeah,
I wasn't able to work at the beginning. And then I went back to work in that. So just a dependency on the Lord for sure during that time. Um, a hard thing for me though was seeing you, um, knowing that you had this dream, that the Lord had given you this dream because we knew it wasn't anything that we had ever thought of,
sure.
and seeing you not being able to start that and fulfill it, and watching the struggle for you. I think that was the hardest part for me, but then also a good part in it was watching you taking those steps that the Lord was having you do,
Yeah,
having us do during that time, and then seeing the excitement of it being birthed
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
started.
Well said. Yeah. I remember, going back to the plumbing field, and my
Mhm.
father was my boss, and
Yeah.
I just remember being so bitter and frustrated
Mhm.
because the church wasn't going
Mhm.
anywhere. We weren't, weren't getting it rolling,
Yeah.
and my attitude wasn't great, and I wasn't really treating my dad very well. Talking back to him, and my attitude was atrocious. And I remember the Lord speaking to me, saying something to the effect of, "Until you can treat your father, your boss,
Mhm.
the same way you treated your lead pastor when you were the youth pastor,
Right.
there's no going to be no doors open." Something to that
Right.
effect.
Yeah.
And
I remember you telling me
yeah,
that.
and I just remember just that shifting in my spirit big time,
Mhm.
and from that time on, for the next 2 or 3 years, I just really got the grace of
Mhm.
God to roll and His power
Mhm.
in my life, and began to treat my dad with the
Mhm.
respect that he deserved,
Yeah.
and doors began to open that no man could
Right.
shut. You
Right.
know.
I think during that time it was nice too because we were at my parents' church at that time, and
Hmm.
we got to go to church with them for a while with our son, so they
Yep.
got to be there with Nick, and so
And I
that was
traveled a little bit with
yeah,
Rick
yeah,
Bosnick, a good friend of
yeah,
mine, who will be on a future podcast.
yeah.
And he was an evangelist at the
Mhm.
time, and we were traveling, doing, well, just call them evangelistic
Mhm.
crusades, and I was helping them with that. I believe we're in 40 churches in 4 years,
Something like that.
something to that effect. So I got a lot of experience.
Mhm.
I spent 3, 4, 5 days at one church,
Right.
and then come home and plumb
Right.
and go back to our
Right.
home church,
Right.
and then go back on the road to another church. So I was learning a lot of what to do and
Right.
what not to do. So it was a
Yeah.
very beneficial time,
Right.
even though it was painful.
Things that we wouldn't have experienced had we just gone right into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So God,
Things
God,
that we
God used
needed.
it.
Even back, it makes me think of like when we were back at the old church and we were on all those missions trips.
Yeah,
And at all those missions trips, we were planting churches.
yeah.
I think almost every missions trip we went on
Almost
at
every
that
one.
time
A high
was
percentage of
planting
them. Yeah,
churches, and we had no clue.
yeah,
It was like we were oblivious to what was happening.
yeah,
And back in the 80s, early 90s, the Lord was doing that for a church plant in the
yeah.
2000s.
Yeah, that was definitely
Yeah.
an incredible experience. I
Mhm.
think at the time we didn't see it.
Right.
We're just helping these missionaries plant churches,
Right.
these pastors plant churches on the mission field, and then God says, "No, I want to send you in the mission field to plant a church
Yep.
in the Anchor Bay area."
Yep.
So
It's awesome.
we started meeting in homes.
Mhm.
Our house, my buddy Brian's basement was actually the first meeting,
Mhm.
and then eventually we used the Bethel Temple in downtown
New
New
Baltimore.
Baltimore. We used that from November of '01 to Mother's
May.
Day of
Yeah.
'02,
Mhm.
and they asked us to step out. So it's
Yeah.
time for you guys to get out.
Right.
They weren't necessarily rude about it, but
No.
now we were homeless.
Right.
But we had our eyes on that old Kroger grocery store,
Yep.
about 7,000 square feet, and we renovated it that entire summer.
Yep. Every Sunday morning,
Yeah,
well, with everybody from the church during the week, we were there all the time,
right,
but
right.
every Sunday morning you do a little devotional, hand everybody their
I felt like
tools for the day.
Nehemiah, a sword in one hand and a hammer in the other.
You'd hand everybody a tool and they have to go out and
Yeah.
do their parts.
I remember how what's the word I want to use? How you know, I don't know, frustrating is the right word again, but I just remember how um, difficult it was during that summer, because once again we were dealing with more
Challenging.
and more delays.
Yeah.
You know, I remember putting signs on the door. We're opening the door, July 1st or whatever,
Right.
and then another one August 1st. And we just
Right.
kept having to change the sign on the
Right.
door, and it's just, I'll never forget that. And I
Yeah.
also remember the signing the lease.
Yes.
That's kind of what I really want to get at, was signing that lease where we had to put our personal name on it,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't let us put the company name on it because
Right.
there was no collateral or anything.
Right. And our personal house and
Yeah, yeah.
everything had a
Yes, we had like
was
maybe 30 adults,
yeah.
25 adults, and we're signing a 5-year lease. But
Mhm.
God knew, right?
Yep.
Had some great times in that old Kroger.
Mhm.
Anything you want to expound on?
I was just going to say also that summer too, besides delays for everything with the
Mm.
church, we also had a lot of personal
Tragedies.
tragedies.
Yeah.
Our David, my brother David's 6-week-old daughter Sydney passed away
Yeah.
in June, and then 6 weeks later, my brother Chuck passed away
Yeah.
in August, and then we opened the church in September
Yeah.
of '02. So that
Yeah.
was a difficult time.
Very difficult. And in the
Yeah,
midst of all that,
yeah,
renovating that Kroger and the stress of that and the
yeah,
pain of the loss of loved ones,
yeah,
words can't describe it.
yeah. Well, I don't know whoever said that to us at one point, but whenever you put a shovel in the ground, the
All hell heard.
all hell heard it, you know. So every time we did something, every time we advanced, unfortunately, you know,
There was some
our
pain.
yeah, the pain,
Yeah.
lots of pain.
So just back to the Kroger.
Mm.
What were some highlights there for you? You know?
Oh boy. Well, there's always the funny ones, like where we could hear your aunt in the cafe yelling,
My loud Italian aunts arguing in the cafe
arguing in the
while
cafe
I'm preaching.
during the sermon and
Yeah.
stuff. But I think highlights, that was when we started the McCrest program.
Yeah.
You know, we did our first McCrest there,
We
right?
took care of the homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, I think Wednesday nights, our midweeks were a big highlight for me. You know, just seeing
Mm.
the worship center, all the tables all around, and everybody, you know, doing different studies
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
around, and everybody could hear everybody. But that was all we had, was just that one room. And, you know, and it was like, it didn't matter. People weren't complaining because they could hear the next. I mean, they probably were complaining, but the table next door to them, they could
Yeah.
hear everything. You know what I mean? But just being everybody gathered in that worship center, because that was all we had,
Yeah.
because the kids were in the other room that we could have used.
Yeah.
So I think midweeks were a big,
And the baptism bashes
yeah.
that we
Oh
did in
yeah, because we
backyard
had to do
ponds.
those at ponds
Yeah.
and ponds and stuff, Scarcellas, and then we did at Stockers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there was somebody else's house we did in a pool. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
remember, but yeah, those were great.
Those were great times, and
Yeah.
the community was incredible.
hmm
You know.
And all of the were did we start doing all of the parades during then
Oh yeah.
too?
Yeah.
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 So just all the outreach,
Yeah.
a lot of that.
So then,
Oh, one more thing.
okay.
When you would dress up all the time.
Oh, gee.
We have to find those pictures of
Oh, good
you
grief.
dressed up as in grapes, and you
Yeah.
were dressed up as a pilgrim one
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I forget
Huggy
everything.
Bear one
Huggy
time.
Bear, yeah.
How
And
to explain that
we
one?
would do something like out of the box, and you and I would sit there on the front row, remember, and they would start playing something or whatever, and we'd hit each other and go, "What's everybody doing?" And you go,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you go, "You look," and I go, "No, you look," because we were worried about how everybody was going to react to
Yeah.
something,
Because we
a
tried to do a lot of
crazy idea we came up
creative
with.
stuff we would do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I miss a little bit of that.
Yeah,
We're starting to do some more of that right
yeah.
now, so it's kind of nice.
You might have to bring out the grapes again or
I ain't
something.
bringing out the grapes. I can
Not
tell you
bringing out
that.
those grapes.
I might do
You
the
retired
pilgrim.
the tights.
The tights, although they're back in. Oh man. So then I remember we outgrew that Kroger. To make a
Yep.
long story short, we
Yep.
looked and looked and looked for like a warehouse or another grocery store that we could renovate, but we couldn't find anything. And I remember driving up one day to our present land, and it was only 4 acres at the time, and I just remember going, "This is it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is where we're going to build, the New Rock Church,
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember, thinking, man, we're going to be right next door to Anchor Bay High
Mm-hmm.
School, the third, I
Yeah.
believe it's the third largest high school in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
You remember the phrase it used to always say?
Well, when we started looking for something, we were always, or I was at least for sure, always praying that the Lord would put us where we could do the enemy the most damage. So this land is perfect next to the high
Yeah,
school.
yeah. Where we
Yep.
could do the enemy the most damage.
Yep.
I think we're there,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I think the future's bright. I'm looking forward to what's
Mm-hmm.
next.
Yep.
I remember being in phase one about 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
3 services on a Sunday morning. I remember the commons you couldn't even walk through the commons in between services,
Jam-packed.
jam-packed.
Yeah.
And the
Trying to
youth
leave.
group, the youth group being, in the worship center,
Mm-hmm.
passionately pursuing the Lord. That was
On
other
another
highlights.
night, because we didn't we didn't have enough
Yeah,
rooms.
but they would pack it out on Sundays,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
they would do it another night of the
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
because we didn't have enough room.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about their services. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were all in there with us. It was crazy.
Yeah. Good times,
Yeah,
you know.
it was.
So then we got it. We got the challenge to put on the big addition,
Yep.
70,000 square feet,
How many?
70,000 square foot
70? Oh,
addition. And that was finished in 17.
17.
The phase one was finished in 09.
Right.
And then the addition was finished again in
Yeah.
17.
But before the addition, when we were landlocked.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that era. I'm trying
Yeah.
to forget that.
When we decided we needed to add on, because when we built phase one, we were already too small.
Right, right.
That was all we could afford. So we had already built something
Yeah.
that really
I mean, it was
was
built with the intent of giving it to next
into the,
gen.
right.
Right.
But it was already built knowing that it was not large enough for
Sure.
our congregation as it
Right.
was. But so then when we decided we needed to add on or do something, we were landlocked and
Yeah.
so you'll have to tell that part
Yeah.
because I wasn't
I don't know
really
if I
in
could
that
get
part
into
of
it
it.
too much other than, you know, we were only on 4 acres,
Right.
you know, and we needed more acreage, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
to put on an addition. And there was some stuff with the bank and the school, and there was just some controversies that were keeping us from
Right.
being able to buy more land. And so we started to look again at some other areas,
You
a
guys
car
did.
dealership, and
You guys started to look.
yeah, me and the elders, and we thought, well, we're landlocked, we'll sell this building. And again, we looked at a car dealership. I'm glad we didn't buy it because a few years later there was a
Flooded.
flood and it was underwater.
That
And
would
there
have
were
been
some other
horrible.
warehouses we looked at, and you were like firm. We ain't
No.
going nowhere. I don't know why you guys are looking. We're getting the land.
I know. Well, because I mean, we had prayed strategically for the Lord to put us
Yeah.
where we could do the enemy the most damage. We're next to the huge high school, and there was no way he was moving us. I just knew that we were where we were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I just let you guys run along and do what you wanted to
Yeah. You had a little bit more faith at that time than
do.
me and the leadership team. But we woke up
Yep.
and, we were able to do some negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being able to buy 10 more acres.
Yep.
Yeah, so now we're on 14 acres. And
Okay.
that's when we put the 70,000 square foot addition up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights of since the addition's been up? Anything specific?
Since the addition's been up,
Yeah.
I just remember the first day walking in here and walking through here and going, whoa. I just couldn't believe that this is what the Lord has done, in and through us
Yeah.
since
His grace has been
12
faithful.
people. Yeah, since 12 people in the basement.
Yeah.
Um,
We used to share, remember, it's just a bigger basement. It's just
right.
a bigger
It's
basement.
just a bigger basement. I think always for me, highlights are always seeing people's lives changed,
Yeah.
marriages restored, addictions gone,
Broken. Yeah.
broken, chains broken in people's lives. Seeing people that are hurting doesn't bother me because I know that we've created a hospital per se for people here, through the
Yeah.
Lord, obviously, um, to come and get healed, and I know I never doubt that somebody's going to get a healing here as far as their life being changed, not necessarily a physical healing, but their life being changed
Maybe
because we've
both.
seen it over and over and over. Of course, it can be a physical healing too, but I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I just never question whether the Lord can do it because he's done it over and over again. He's proved himself. Not that he has to prove himself to us, but I think he does that for our own faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think those are big highlights for me. As I'm sitting here and I look over and I can see the outreach name on the wall that, you and the elders or whoever made the decision. I don't even know. I think maybe it was you. I don't know. Just, um,
To name it after your parents.
yeah,
Yeah.
honoring my parents in that way, naming the
Yeah.
outreach center. That's a big highlight when we rolled my dad out in the wheelchair and he saw his name up on the wall.
Right.
That was a big, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to start crying.
Yeah.
Was a big highlight for me to see, my parents honored in that
Well, they
way.
were so big with
Yeah.
reaching people,
Yeah.
former missionaries themselves.
Yeah.
And your dad was an evangelist at heart.
Yeah.
And your mom had great people skills, and the way that they just poured into people was
Yeah.
amazing. And I
Right.
thought like the least that we could do is
Yeah.
honor them because really without them in our lives,
Yeah.
um, there's, I don't think Rock Church exists
Yeah.
because they poured into us so much.
Yeah.
I mean, there were things, so many other people as well.
Sure.
I think of our youth pastor
Right.
taught us about leadership.
Right.
Earlier, I mentioned my lead pastor
Yeah.
teaching me, about how to be a godly father in the
Uh-huh.
midst of ministry.
Right.
My dad and his work ethic,
Right.
he's such a great work ethic, my dad, hard
Mhm.
working, which if you're going to plant a church and pastor a church, you better work hard,
Right.
and I learned all that from him,
Right.
so
But I think those are, and I of course love all of our like our Rock of Hope on the Mondays when we give away food to people, and
mhm.
um those are all big highlights. All of our
Yeah,
outreaches are always highlights for me.
yeah,
Baptism bashes now in our worship center
they're incredible,
are
yeah,
big, now that we have the dual tanks,
yeah, yeah,
pools or whatever, that's awesome.
yeah.
So those are
And then
my
the
highlights.
outreach center, I mean, be
Yeah,
able to see it being used for sports and
right.
other things.
And schools coming in here and using
Yeah,
it,
schools are
and
using it, and Upward, which is a
Upward. Yeah, I was just
faith-based
gonna say our upper.
basketball league
Yeah,
that has just taken off, and how many families have been reached through
yeah,
stuff like that. You know, it's
yeah,
just amazing. And
yeah.
again, I just think the future of Rock Church is extremely bright, and
Right.
I'm looking forward to seeing even more done because we're not done.
Nope.
Hopefully, there's a time where we do multi-site
Yeah.
and or plant some churches out of here. I think that would be
hmm
really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I believe we're going to experience that.
Yeah.
Before we close, I want to hear a little bit about what it's like to be a police chaplain in Chesterfield, Michigan.
Uh, well, I'll be coming up on my year there already in
Wow.
September. It'll be a year. So next month it'll be a year that I've been with the Chesterfield Township Police Department. It's very. I keep saying it's fun, and I try not to say that because for me it's just an excitement and a joy to be there. So that's what I mean by fun when I say it's fun. But I think a better way of saying it is very fulfilling for me. So I'm there whenever I can be, whenever I'm not taking too much time away from you and our family. And I'm there for the officers. My main priority is the officers. I do ride alongs with them. I have conversations with them. I talk through scenes with them if they need to. Unfortunately, they come across scenes that are not the best scenes to be around.
Yeah.
Sometimes very traumatic and very traumatizing and very you see people at their worst, and of course even death, and so I'm there to be there for them to talk it through if they need to. And then after that, my next priority is the community. So I am on call 24/7. Of course, as you know, I've been called out in the middle of the night. If there's a death scene, I usually go to that and help with the family.
Yeah.
That's my other priority, is helping with the family, just to help be that mediator between the officers and the family with the ME or whatever the situation is. So I absolutely love it. I love serving the community of Chesterfield. The Lord has allowed me to find a lot of favor with them, I believe. I see a lot of wins happening, officers
Awesome.
that maybe didn't want to take me before were kind of, you know, uh,
Hesitant?
hesitant to take me out. They're seeing that I'm
Mm.
a normal person, I think, and they'll take me out now. And so it's great. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy being with the officers. I enjoy being on the road with them. I enjoy being in the office, just talking with upper command and the other people in the departments, the detective bureau, and all that. So I just love it. I love being there as much as I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. It does seem like the favor of the Lord is all over that.
Yeah.
And just watching you, how excited you are,
Thank you.
excites me. And,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of trying to help people find their purpose
Yeah.
and their place in
Yeah.
life and in society and in a
Mhm.
culture. And, I think you found
Yeah.
yours. It's
Thank you.
just
I
incredible.
I think I just said it to the officer I was with yesterday because I was on last night, and I said, I wish I could have done this 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Mm.
But then I thought, you know what, I probably wasn't in the right place to be able to do it back then. Of course, raising our son and that, I wouldn't have been able just to take off in the middle of the night like
Right,
that.
right.
I mean, I'm sure there are officers that have kids so they can do it, but I'm not an officer. But, um, so I think that the Lord has me in a place, it stemmed out of a horrific situation that caused me to get to this place. But yeah, I think the Lord is all over it. I love it.
Yeah, for such a time as this, right?
Yep. Yep.
Well, you're doing great.
Thank you.
And you're still my number one cheerleader here at Rock Church.
I try.
You're my encourager, my counselor, and the list goes on.
Right.
But I just want to share Matthew 7:24. Whoever hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock.
Yep.
That's pretty much what Rock Church has been built on.
Yep.
The storms of life are coming either way.
Right.
It's one of the things that we've tried to tell our congregation quite a
Mm-hmm.
bit. So you might as well be built on the rock.
Right.
Because the storms are coming.
Right. Have that foundation.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
foundation. And thanks for another incredible episode of On the Rock, where we build our life and our leadership on Jesus Christ, who is the rock. Thank you.